Hello, YouTube family. I hope you all are doing well. It's been a long time, and I know some of you have been saying, "Where have you been? What have you been doing?" And I've just been living. And really appreciative of these last few months that I've had to continually find myself and continually understanding more about this thing called life and how we can be tremendously successful. How are you in our lives? And today I just wanted to come to you and give you some insight on what I've been hearing and what I've been understanding to be true. This goes for churchgoers and those that don't necessarily go to church. But I'm hoping that this inspires someone to think differently, right, about this world, this universe, your spirituality, your success. So I'm walking and I'm thinking today, and there's a scripture or a quote or a phrase that says, "As a man thinketh, so is he." And oftentimes in church we equate that to not thinking or over obsessing on things, quote unquote, that the church deems that we shouldn't think upon. Riches and success and things that we want out of our lives. I've heard oftentimes, so many times, you're making that thing your God. And I've come to realize that that's so wrong. So, a couple things. As a man thinketh, so is he. You know what that is to me? That's our imagination. Think about it. As a man thinketh, so is he. That's our imagination. And where did our imagination come from? It came from God. God, I believe, speaks to us through our imagination. And in that, we can act upon what we are thinking about. And there's nothing wrong with that. I go back to some very big, powerful examples. Benjamin Franklin, the Wright brothers, and countless others that have created immense breakthroughs in our society. I gotta believe Benjamin Franklin and the Wright brothers thought about their inventions and their things that they wanted to get done day in and day out. I gotta believe that if the Wright brothers hadn't thought about that airplane, that propelled instrument to allow us to fly throughout this land, I gotta believe that if they didn't think about that thing 100% all day, every day, it wouldn't have come to fruition. See, too many of us are looking outwardly for the things that we already have inwardly. We have the ability to create, folks, and it's not because of our human nature, but it's a connection between human nature and the spiritual nature, the universe. God created the universe. Why are we afraid to realize that? So many of us will not and will never ever reach our true potential because we're not giving our imagination the ability to manifest itself. You know, I grew up in the church, and oftentimes throughout the years that I've heard, we have to labor and we have to seek God for hours at a time before he comes to us. And I tell you, I believe God is saying, I'm already here. So it's a contradiction to me where as a man thinketh, so is he. Inwardly, he's there all the time. It's not an emotion, it's not a feeling, but it's a guaranteed fact that he allows us to think these things because he's putting those things in our thoughts to think. So if you want to be rich, if you want to be successful, if you want to be healed from something, if you want a better outlook for your spouse, for yourself, for your children, and you hear these things, and you hear your ideas, and you hear those thoughts, it's not really time to sit down and labor and ask, is this the will of God, or, let me pray about it. He's given it to you already. You have to act on that thing. I think too many of us are caught up in the tradition of what we thought to be true, and I'm not realizing what is already created in us. We have to believe that that voice that is pushing us towards success, that voice that is pushing us towards something good, or no, I'm going to keep it along those lines. The other part would be too deep for you. But that voice that is pushing us towards something good, we can't put that on the side and say, wow, I'm overthinking. No. How are you? We're not overthinking. We're not making that our God. No. He created in us an imagination, and oftentimes he speaks to us through our imagination. So if you hear that thought that I want to be successful, I want to be healed, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be out there helping others, I want to live a good life here on earth, and you think upon those things, and you visualize yourself, and you imagine yourself being in that environment, not just imagining one day that you're going to be there, but imagining yourself being in that environment. It's your state of mind. It's your state of mind. You're going to get there. But we have to not be afraid. We can't be afraid of believing that we are spoken to through our imaginations. And I think that's why so many of us are stagnant. Because all the while, our imaginations, our thoughts are telling us things to help us propel us to the next level. But because we begin thinking on those things longer than we have been taught, right, to think, we think that we are making that our God. It's not true. It's not true. How else would God be speaking to us but through our imagination? You hear that voice saying, you're going to be rich one day. You hear that voice saying, you're going to be healed one day. You hear that voice saying, do that venture. And then you begin thinking about that thing, thinking about that thing, thinking about that thing, thinking about that thing. I think that we're too religious for our own good, and we don't realize the practical things that God has created in order for us to become successful. He gave us our mind to think. He gave us the ability to act on those things. He gave us the ability to even look at life in an imaginary setting and imagine where you want to be, imagine where you want to go, and put yourself in the space or the arena of those people that are where you want to be or are going to where you want to be. So I hope this encourages someone to start tearing down, for some, start tearing down those misconceptions and start living their best life, realizing that it doesn't, and for some this is going to be new, or like, whoa, what is he talking about? But it doesn't take 5 or 6 hours of laboring on your knees, right, to hear what God, or hear what you're destined to be. Those thoughts of good, or those thoughts of progress, are always there, but because we don't allow it to manifest, we're afraid that we're overthinking on that thing. We are holding ourselves back. So what I want to leave everyone with today is don't hold back. Don't hold yourself back. Start believing in that thing. Start believing where you want to be, who you want to be. Visualize yourself in that space. Trust and believe that it's going to eventually happen. You're going to be that Ben Franklin. You're going to be that Wright brother. You're going to be whoever those great men and women are that have created success for themselves because they believed on those things. Michael Jordan spent countless hours thinking about basketball and practicing basketball. Was he waiting? No. He had it in his mind that he was going to practice for hours, and he visualized success. Florence Griffin, Flojo. She practiced countless hours, but she visualized success. Many people, they had a thought, they had an imagination, they had a goal, and they made it happen. How are you? How are you doing? So I'm really hopeful that everyone will begin realizing that you have the power within, you have the creativity within, you have the ability within. Don't be afraid to walk in your imagination. For some, don't be afraid to walk in your truth, right? Depending on what word you believe in. But let's tear down some of the preconceived past notions of thinking that we cannot think on those things that are already in our head. That's not true. Be good, be great, be successful. Know that you were created for a purpose, and know that you were created to make things happen in your life. All right, family. Hope you all have a great day. Talk to you all later. Peace.